A new PJ Media poll shows Rick Santorum and Condoleezza Rice leading the Republican pack. What does that mean for the GOP primaries, and are the numbers good news for President Obama? Stay tuned for a special PJTV election update. And joining me in our Los Angeles studio to help break these numbers down is Brian Doherty, senior editor at Reason Magazine, and PJTV's very own Stephen Kruiser. Well, it's good to have you guys here. And gentlemen, what we did, the PJ Media poll, was conducted by Cross Target using the same method by Rasmussen. We polled 800 potential voters. And the headline out of this is that Rick Santorum and Condoleezza Rice are beating Obama in a head-to-head matchup. And if you look right now, you can see at the slate, Rick Santorum leading President Obama by 2 percentage points, 46 to 44%. And interestingly enough, Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State, who's not even in the race, well, she tops the president by 1 percentage point. Other candidates were close to the margin of error. But Brian, we'll start with you. What do you think of those results?
Why did you guys ask about Condoleezza Rice? I'm wondering.
I think we threw in some potential. I think looking at a brokered convention, we keep hearing, I think we threw in some potential people that weren't in the race that could get in. But
I mean, I'm sure, Michael Savage, Spider-Man, and, Flo from Progressive Insurance could probably all be beating Obama right now, too. I think one thing we've learned from the fervor and ferment and shifting in the Republican primaries this year is that polls are accurate for the day or week that they're taken. Rick Santorum would have been nowhere if you had done this a month ago. He may be nowhere if you do it a month again now. Condi's support may be stronger. We're not going to know. I think this shows that, no one likes the choices they have in the Republican field. Not that many people like the president very much either. Unfortunately, they're probably going to have to choose between one of those two things, and they're dreamy little dreams about how they can escape this hell that the electoral system has created for them. And they're right to be afraid of their choices, though I don't know that Condoleezza Rice is going to be their savior either.
Well, Kruiser, what do you think about that? Because I think every time Condoleezza Rice has ever given an interview, she says how she's not interested. But what do you think about this notion that Brian said that people just aren't happy with the choices out there?
This is what General Malaise looks like expressed in poll form, okay? The people are just angsty and sick of it all. That's why you throw in Condi. It's this yearning for anybody magical to come in now and save this hot mess that we're in the midst of at the moment.
And it's like that Richard Pryor movie, Brewster's Millions, where it's none of the above. But, we have Mitt Romney, who is the likely GOP candidate, we think. And, he's had a tough time wrapping up this nomination. And, if we look at his numbers, right now he's down to President Obama by 2 percentage points. So, do you think that this prolonged primary has weakened Romney going up against the president?
Sure. He was marching in under this aura of he's the front runner. He's going to be the winner from the very beginning, and the facts have not borne that out at all. So I think that sense of inevitability was all he had going for him because no one likes him. I mean, in those early states, he was getting exactly the same number of votes he got in 2008. He is not growing his appeal at all. And so the more someone like Rick Santorum, who was considered an absolute joke 2 months ago, shows that he can chip away at him, I think that weakens Romney and weakens any Republican who might be actually put forward to fight the president.
Well, it's interesting because, coming out of Florida, I had some kind of hope that Mitt Romney was actually getting tougher. It looked like he was getting more aggressive. But Stephen, what do you think? Right now, we see Santorum talking about contraception and social issues, and Mitt Romney's talking about how many NASCAR team owners he knows. Why are the Republicans having such a hard time closing the deal here?
For a variety of reasons. First, they've let the narrative be driven by the media who have been running the 8,000 debates we've had so far, which is a bad thing. Secondly, it is a pool of extraordinarily flawed candidates. You've got Santorum, who got shellacked the last time he ran for office. You got Romney, who ducked out the last time he ran as an incumbent and then lost to John McCain. It's not a good field. It's not. It's not, Romney's not getting beat up by this primary process. I kind of think that's a Romney camp meme. What it is Romney is just a weak candidate and has always been a weak candidate. And if you look at his history in elections, he loses a lot. This electability thing is based on absolutely nothing.
Now, like we said, this poll was done with a brokered convention in mind. We put up candidates like Chris Christie, Paul Ryan, Sarah Palin against President Obama. But I mean, do you really see this coming down to a brokered convention?
I was studying the math just this morning, and it seems possible if all four of the guys in it now stay in it till the end, if they keep on each gathering their own little pieces of the pile, it is actually mathematically possible. The Santorum thing has always seemed like a weird dream to me. Like I keep thinking every day I'm going to wake up and he's going to disappear, and maybe we'll see that happening after what happens today. So yeah, and none of us have any memory of what that even means, a brokered convention. Does it mean that the guys with the monocles come down from the top of the tower and decide? Is there a fist fight? You know. It would be a very interesting scenario. Those of us who write about these things certainly would love to imagine it, and it's not impossible, let's say, looking at the numbers now.
Well, you know, we keep hearing about what a circus the Republican primary has become, but if you look at these poll numbers, it's not really good news for the president either. If you look at the crosstab results, we see that the president's kind of slipping amongst independent voters. All the potential candidates that we put up against him are either beating him with independent voters or pulling just even. So, Stephen, how big of a problem do you think that this is for Obama?
As we speak of it today, it's a problem. The thing about the independents is, bless their little hearts, they're fickle devils, okay? And they blow with the wind. And the slightest uptick in the economy that can be spun by the Obama people will be spun. And they're the most likely people to be swayed by that. So it could, between now and November, they could turn around. And 2 percentage points always favors the Democrat, okay? The Romney people have been hanging their hats on this 2 percentage point, that he's only 2 percentage points under. You go in, the get out the vote machine is so superior for the Democrats that 2 percentage points turns into a lot bigger margin on election day almost all the time.
Now, Brian, I want to finish with you because we kind of see this interesting paradigm unfolding here where it looks like the Republicans are underperforming in their own party, but they seem to be doing well with independents. We have just this general dissatisfaction with both parties. Why do you think this is happening, and do you think this is maybe setting up a good environment to where a potential third party or third candidate can emerge?
I'm contractually obligated to mention Ron Paul here because I just wrote a book about him that's coming out. And to my libertarian perspective, the reason Ron Paul has even the energy he has is because he represents a viewpoint that everything about the current system is a disaster. Our monetary policy, our fiscal policy, our tax policy, our foreign policy. That he's saying it's all leading us to the edge of apocalypse, and we need to stop. And he's pulling 10 to 20% of the voters to this extremely disturbing message, which I think should be a message to the status quo of both parties. And while Ron Paul is a Republican, lots of Republicans sort of realize he's not really like us. He's sort of using the machine of the Republican Party to build his libertarian masses. And I think both parties need to actually take this seriously. I know they don't want to, but the libertarian viewpoint he represents, and that Gary Johnson looks like he might represent with the actual Libertarian Party, is going to be a bigger player than either major party wants to admit. Though, as always, for all the usual reasons of structural ballot access problems, ideological difficulties Americans have with third parties, a third party is never going to win, but it's going to be it's going to shape what happens with the two major parties. You think
maybe the Ron Paul model moving forward is going to be adopted more by Republicans?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to. I mean, you also look at the age gap. Ron Paul is always the one winning with the under 30s and even in many cases the under 40s. I think in the same way that Goldwater in 1960 was the future of the Republican Party, this weird, radically anti-government outsider with these crazy young kids who the Rockefellers didn't know what to do with, I think Ron Paul's playing that same role now. Radically libertarian, lots of crazy young fans who the Romney establishment doesn't know what to do with. And I think the Republican Party's older guard is literally going to be dying off, and that libertarian energy, I think, is going to claim the future. Not this year, maybe not 2016, but 10 years down the line.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to get your insights.
Thank you.
And to follow more of Brian's work, head on over to reason.com. And as always, you can catch Stephen Kruiser right here on Kruiser Control every Friday, or you can visit his website, stephenkruiser.com. And stay tuned to PJ TV for more of our 2012 election coverage. I'm Alexis Garcia. Thanks for watching.